Alright, I am much too pregnant to be getting on the ground right now. Welcome to today's video and welcome here if you are new. My name is Nikki. My 2-year-old, almost 2, he'll be 2 in January. He is sleeping next door in the bedroom. I feel like I always need to let everyone know, like, this is where my child is. He is safe and just asleep. And I always say this too, but his sound machine is on and I really do my best to drown it out, but that's what, like, some water sounds, rain sounds you might hear. It's not raining, it's his sound machine. I'm also 31 weeks pregnant with a baby girl. She is due in February. So today's video, we are going to be talking about budgeting for a baby. We're going to be talking money saving tips, expenses that you can expect to have once baby is here. But yeah, let's get into it. So a big piece of advice that I was given that I will pass on to you with a little note is that babies are not expensive, lifestyles are expensive. The note I'm adding is that in this economy, gas prices, inflation, things are just more expensive in general. I honestly feel like everyone can kind of benefit from budgeting and money saving tips right now. But that advice still absolutely holds true, and lifestyle does affect a lot of this stuff. And that really kind of changed my thinking, just because I think we always hear like babies are expensive, babies are expensive. And while that is true, babies can be expensive, there's also a lot of ways around it. We'll be chatting all the things, but I think it is important to note, and that really helped frame my mind differently around how expensive babies need to be. So my first piece of advice is to go minimal on your baby registry and baby essentials. It is so challenging to figure out what you need, especially as a first-time parent, and especially when you're like targeted with so many ads for all these baby items. You're like, what do I really need? I have some videos that I will link that I feel like are really helpful for when you're building your registry. We went much more minimal and we saved so much. I will link those down in the description box. I would definitely go and watch those after you're done watching this. But yeah, just going more minimal. Obviously you're saving money because you have less stuff, but really doing kind of some of that research to see like what you really need is going to help a ton as well. Something else I'll say too, like when you're building your registry, is that you don't need everything at once. I'm definitely a planner, and that was me. Like I was like, okay, everything from like 0 to 3 months to 3 to 6 to 6 to 12. Like I wanted everything on my registry. There's a lot of things you don't need from the get-go, and that's a way you can save money too, is just waiting to get those things until you need them. Any kind of like feeding supplies that aren't like just like breast milk or formula. The things like high chairs, bibs. Babies don't start eating until, I think baby-led weaning usually starts around like 6 months if you're going down that route. Some people wait to do food until later on, like closer to a year. Either way, babies are usually recommended to be on just milk for like that first year. All the feeding supplies, again, like you're gonna have months, you don't really have to worry about getting all of that right away. So that's like a huge chunk of money that you can save on. Okay, my leg just fell asleep and it's doing that like tingly tickle thing. I keep forgetting I have like all this extra weight and this huge belly, and it was all on my one leg. Just gonna wait for a second for this to pass. All right, my next tip will be shop sales. From the time I found out I was pregnant, obviously like you have like the 9-10 months, however long you're pregnant for, to prepare for baby. So I would put a little money aside for like baby budgeting stuff so we could just get little things at a time, or get things little by little at a time. They are little things because they're for baby. And a lot of that was like clothing stuff. So speaking of babies aren't expensive, lifestyles are expensive. Baby clothes can get really pricey really quickly, and I do tend to shop more sustainably, like organic cotton, these kind of things, and that adds up. A lot of these pieces tend to be more expensive because they're not mass produced. I'm not like perfect in this in any way, but that is something, you know, I tend to spend more money on things, but I also shop more minimally, so I'm not getting as much stuff. Anyways, knowing that and knowing me, I did a lot of research into like baby clothing brands, sustainable options, small shops. I signed up for the email so I could be notified when there were sales. So I was able to get stuff for pretty cheap because of that. So yeah, shopping sales and taking advantage of that time while you are pregnant. It's never too late. Even if you're in your 3rd trimester watching this, like you can still check those sales. Shopping sales was super helpful, and that's something I still do to this day. My next tip is going to be shopping secondhand, thrifting, borrowing from friends and family. We're just gonna fit this all into one category. Basically not buying new. This is huge. I think when we have a baby, we just want to get everything brand new and get all of the things because it's exciting and we're nesting and we're planning and everyone wants like the best for their kids. And sometimes it feels like the best has to be the newest, whatever, sometimes more expensive things. And it's like, it's so unnecessary. And like seasoned parents will tell you that. As a first time mom, this was so hard for me too. Like there were so many things that I was like, but it's so cute. I had to kind of reel it in and really just kind of go over what we really could afford, how much I really felt comfortable asking, you know, because you could put really expensive stuff on your registry and if someone will gift it to you, that's great. But, you know, I didn't really want people to have to spend all this money. And I also, you know, it was kind of a strategy of like, oh, the cheaper things that we have, the less things we have, the more stuff will probably get gifted, you know? So that's why like we really didn't get anything that was super crazy expensive. I think the most expensive item that we got was our Kikaroo changing pad. I want to say it was $120 or something. That was probably our biggest ticket item. That was more than the stroller, more than the crib, more than the bassinet, all because we got these things secondhand. We got our stroller, I think for like 40 bucks off Facebook Marketplace, I think, or OfferUp. Car seats are one of those things I don't recommend you getting them secondhand unless you know that the car seat wasn't in an accident and you know how old the car seat is because they expire. If a car seat is in an accident, it's like not usable anymore. It's not considered safe. Luckily, we had friends that had a baby like a year prior to us, so we were able to get a bucket seat and we knew that that was safe. It hadn't been in an accident. It had been brand new, like it wasn't outdated or expired or anything. So we got that for free. We got our high chair, which is the Trip Trap. It's like almost $300. We got that from some friends. Their kids outgrew it. They're not planning on having more kids. The crib and mattress we got were both unused. We got it off Facebook Marketplace for, I think it was $100 for the crib and the mattress. So we saved hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars on the few items I mentioned right there. Like those are your big ticket items. And people want to get rid of their baby stuff. So ask friends and family, even if you're just borrowing it, kids grow out of things so quickly. Lean on your community and check Facebook Marketplace. You'll find great deals. You'll find things that are like practically new sometimes. Okay, so moving away kind of from like essentials and all of that, I want to move into kind of some costs that you can expect. Like maybe if you are creating a budget now, you're just like, how much, you know, is this going to cost me? What things have I not thought about? We're moving into that category now. So creating a budget, what to expect. So one of the biggest things that's going to be the most expensive and have the most effect probably financially on your family is going to be daycare. This is another thing, like depending where you live and what your situation is, maybe you have family that can help out. That's all kind of stuff that you can arrange ahead of time. But again, like nowadays with like the economy and all of that, daycare is pretty expensive, like across the board. This was something that we really were not prepared for at all. And at the time too, my son was born in very early 2021, January 2021. So like the world was basically on fire. So, like we couldn't even get into like a daycare basically. And then the daycares that were available cost as much as our rent because we live in a major city. These two huge factors actually led me to choosing to not return to my job. This is huge. Like this is a huge life change. I was working full time. I was planning on going back to work after my maternity leave, but because of daycare costs and all of that, we actually budgeted and calculated and did all the things and found that it was better for our family financially for me to like not return to my full-time job and to stay home rather than pay daycare costs. Same thing, now we are having a second baby. If I were to go back to work now, we wouldn't even be able to afford really to have two kids in daycare. Like it makes more sense for me to be home. Sorry, I just burped a little bit. I tried to just like go through it. Another big expense, of course, will be insurance and all of that. The first time around with my son, like I said, I was working. I was able to call my insurance and see how much it was going to be, like for, you know, all my prenatal appointments, how much it was going to be to deliver at the hospital. That's major. It could be up to thousands of dollars to deliver a baby here in the US. So that's something you're going to want to prepare for. So with insurance, thinking about budgeting for the birth that you want. This was something I didn't really do either time. I think I just went with, okay, this is the insurance I have. I have to have a hospital birth if I want it covered under this insurance. And that was pretty much the option that I had that was most affordable. So that's the way that we went. But initially I really wanted to do either a home birth or a birth center. But financially it just felt like that was just out of our budget. Now this time around, I'm under a different insurance now because I'm not working, but it's actually the same insurance provider that I had the first time around. So it'd be at the same hospital, all of that. But I realized from my first birth that it was really important to me to have a different birth this time around. So I did some shopping around and I was actually able to find a birth center that is covered under my insurance fully. This is something I didn't even know would be an option. I kind of like stumbled upon it and I'm so grateful. I'm really excited for this birth and to be able to have this opportunity. Budgeting for birth is really important and it's something I didn't give a lot of thought on, to be honest. I think it just kind of felt like, okay, this is the insurance and the hospital I have, this is the route I have to go. But it doesn't need to be that way. Whether or not you want a doula, those kind of expenses, that's stuff I didn't really think about. I think I had my head wrapped around newborn essentials and baby items, but didn't really think about like the whole birthing aspect and the costs that come along with that. But that is important and that's definitely worth looking into and something I didn't really do. So that is my tip. Look into that. So I wanted to talk about some free resources. First, of course, is going to be libraries. Of course, this will depend on like where you live and your access to all of this, but a lot of times a local library is going to have storytelling for like babies and toddlers. We have a library that does like arts and crafts projects that you can go and pick up and like bring home. Also just, it's a library, so books, getting books for free. It's somewhere to just go that can be air conditioned or heated or whatever if you want to get out of the house, but the weather is kind of an issue. If weather is not a problem for you, depending on the time of year, parks are another great free resource that obviously are designed for kids. And going through the park, you can find so many resources too because you're meeting other parents. They can like give you the 411 on certain things or like tell you about free like events or things that might be happening in your area. It's also that social aspect. We've met a ton of kids Noah's age. He has like a whole group of friends that we've met from the park and we've been able to do play dates and all of that stuff and have him interact with kids his age and just make friends, and that's all like so special. You can't put a price tag on that. There's also just community, mommy and me type groups. Also Noah is waking up, so you might hear him in the background, but I'm gonna wrap it up here. Also our speech therapy, I've mentioned this before, but I'll mention in this video because it's another free resource. We go through our local regional center, so if you are in the States, I would look into regional centers for speech therapy if your child qualifies. Again, I know we're budgeting for baby, it's more of a toddler thing, but something to think about in the future. Also Noah is waking up, so you might hear him in the background, but I'm gonna wrap it up here. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you found it helpful. Take care of yourselves and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!